Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
Hey, welcome everyone. Let's pile on in here. Got a bit to talk about today. Hi, Margaret. Brooke, Rhode Island. Nice. How are things in Rhode Island? I heard there was a bit of an issue there in Providence. Aaron. Oop, of course, now the phone rings. Perfect timing.
It's probably line 2.
Probably somebody at the front. All right, everyone get in here. Hi, William. Everyone is going to get COVID, Terrence says. I'm not so sure that's true, but okay. Northern Nevada, interesting. Ireland, you want a little primer on Ireland? I will look it up right now. Ireland, according to yesterday's update at the University of Washington, is in pretty good shape. You had a little bit of a run on hospital beds, but that's now rapidly declining. They anticipate about 1,000 deaths total from COVID. It spiked up on the 20th, yesterday, to 77, though usually it's around 30 or so. So hopefully that'll regress to the mean, or maybe it will even go down below the mean since there's already been a movement above the mean. So Ireland is in pretty good shape. You're certainly going to have to also do the usual isolating and containing that everyone's going to have to do. Jason Waller will be here in just a minute. He'll be talking about his charities in Georgia. I know you guys are opening up. Lauren, you should be very cautious so as to prevent a second outbreak. Here's what we don't know. And this is Lauren, who's in Georgia, worried about Georgia, and she should be worried. What we don't know is whether we will be able to maintain the same degree of efficacy in terms of reducing the spread and flattening the curve and all that good stuff by just social distancing, washing hands and gloves and masks, all this thing. So it may be that that's what we need to do. It may be shutdown is excessive, at least to a point. We may be able to congregate a little bit. We may be able to go to parks and things like that, but we'll have to see. Sly saying that LabCorp got an FDA approval for an at-home test. That is absolutely true, and I'm hoping that will be a game changer. I mean, literally everyone in the country should take that damn test. It's $110 per test. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not.
I'd like to talk about the union rushing.
I'm going to get there. I'm trying. Let me just get to because everyone's asking great questions, and I don't want to have happen what happened yesterday where I lose track of everything.
Oh, that's true.
And these are really good questions. Anarchy Racing is saying this. One of my thoughts on the CDC is saying the winter is going to be worse. All right, this is a really, really important point that we are looking at this virus through August, right? And looks like through August we are in pretty good shape. We've flattened the curve. We've reduced the fatality rate down to something similar to the flu, but we will have the flu again next year, which is on the order of 30 to 50 million cases. 30 to 50,000 deaths just from the flu, just needing hospital. And obviously a certain percentage of those will need hospitalization. So get your flu shot, but that will not protect everybody. And be sure to talk to your doctor about whether you should get a high potency flu shot or a regular flu shot. But get your flu shot. And number 2, we will probably, if we don't have some sort of vaccine or heard something going on in the fall, which we probably won't, we're going to have another COVID spike that comes through on top of the influenza, right? So we'll have 30 to 50 million influenza and maybe, again, 1 million of the COVID, and each one creating 50,000 deaths. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with next year. So they've got to figure out how to prevent, contain, diminish that. And again, as I've been saying for the last 3 months, listen to the CDC, listen to Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci. They're the ones that have to figure this out. And hopefully they will. Okay. And Tony brings up an interesting point, is whether the fear of the corona would offset the flu a little bit. It's a great point that we don't know. So again, we will presumably be lightened up a little bit by then. So the question is, will the social distancing and the masks and the hand washing be enough to mitigate the flu and mitigate the COVID? We don't know. So you guys are asking great questions, and these are really the appropriate things to be focused on now as we move forward. Don't panic. Let's just figure this out, right? And by the way, the Moderna vaccine is in phase 2, as Sly is reminding of, which is true. And I keep hearing repeatedly that they will be offering it to healthcare providers in the fall. Sign me up. I'll be first in line. So there's a lot of moving parts here and a lot of variables. Plus, as I'm always saying, therapeutics are underway. I feel like we've plateaued a little bit with therapeutics, and I'm not quite sure why. I think what will happen, you know what it is, because we're flying blind a little bit. We don't have the kind of placebo, the kind of controlled studies we need. Those should be coming out soon, and then you'll see a pickup as we apply what we learned from those studies. I think that's it. All right, let's get, let me make sure you guys are good. I'm giving you your last chance. I'm worried about high pitch. I would worry about him too. He's in a very high risk category. He will not do well if he gets COVID. It's Gonzo. Hi, Gonzo. Yeah, high pitch is in big trouble. He's not wearing his mask, and he's taking Ubers, and I bet he's smoking cigars outside too. He is at the highest possible risk. He's the kind of guy that we are does very poorly, very fast. So what kind of vitamins can you take to become more immune? Really, it's about distancing and hand washing, all that stuff. But if you want to do something up to about 50 milligrams of zinc, about 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, somewhere 3 to 5 units, 5,000 units of vitamin D. Some people are also suggesting vitamin B could be helpful as well. Look into N-acetylcysteine. I don't know what to make of that yet. Also, I'm going to be talking to somebody that is going to be advocating for nicotinamide riboside, which is something I take. I'm convinced the NAD metabolism has a role to play here. I think they're advocating kind of higher dose of that, but we'll talk to him in an upcoming stream. Susan, is that right? Or maybe probably stream and podcast?
Our guest has a heart out at 12.
Okay, let's get to our guest.
First I'd like you to mention the situation with the homeless.
All right. So what is happening right now, one of the reasons we're getting our buddy Jason Waller in here is there's been an outbreak of COVID at the Union Rescue Mission. They had a very tight environment with elderly males and females, and Reverend Bales has been asking for a bailout for quite some time of those patients, and had difficulty even getting the head of the Department of Health, Public Health here in Los Angeles, trying to get into the game to get these people placed. Because of one of his healthcare workers died of COVID, I think he had a sense that there was about to be a COVID outbreak amongst these people, and he couldn't get them moved. Now there's been an outbreak. 60% of them are asymptomatic, which is sort of a fascinating thing about homeless. They tend to be asymptomatic from COVID. But it's devastation. There's the Union Rescue Mission. Andy Bales himself is at very high risk if he catches this thing. I'm concerned about him. And the trolls.
They lost one of their employees.
Yes, that's what I said. And the trolls are attacking him for doing the work he's done forever, which is, if you know anybody that is working on behalf of God, it is Reverend Andy Bales. And to attack him, saying something about you. So, and then Jason Waller contacted us.
Just send him my way.
Jason Waller contacted him. You'll swat off the zombies. Jason Waller contacted us this morning.
Trolls.
He's working with the Los Angeles Mission, which is the other great organization downtown. And so we thought, let's get Jason in here. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're holding up, and you guys are held up somewhere. Everybody good with you, your family, your daughter?
Yeah, everybody's doing good. It's been a crazy time, but we're doing what we need to do. But we're ready for this to be over. That's for sure.
I think, Susan, people are saying the theme music is still playing.
Oh, it is right now?
Yep. So maybe we to get that.
Oh, when I had the banner.
Yeah. So, so talk to us. Let's start with the LA Mission. That's an amazing organization.
Yeah.
I volunteered down there. They've been there forever. They are ground zero of the homeless situation. Have at it. What can we do to help them?
Well, they're right in the middle of Skid Row. I mean, there's a 157,000 square foot building. They foster and shelter over 500 homeless people a day. They provide over 1,500 meals. I mean, they're really doing God's work down there. But it's crazy. I mean, we've taken a huge COVID pandemic mitigation protocols for the LA Mission. Everybody that goes in, we do thermal scans, taking temperature for anybody coming onto property, including the president, all staff.
Yeah.
Hand washing stations, hand sanitizer, UV lights, wands, etc. Mitigation and killing for mitigation and killing the virus, but as well as hydrostatic sprayers, first all door handles and any doorways, as well as having social distancing put into place. We've also had no positive cases, thank God yet.
Crazy.
But I'm fearful, with everything that's just down there. I mean, everybody's so susceptible to that, and it spreads. Everybody's on top of each other. So, but we're still serving and taking all the precautions that are needed. We have not laid off anybody, but we spent a lot of money, to put all these protocols in place and still foster and help out the community. So it's a crazy time right now.
And is there a website people can go to contribute for the LA Mission?
Yeah, it's the LosAngelesMission.org.
All right, I'm looking it up right now just so I can see how easy or not easy it is to navigate. LA Mission, no, it's not lamission.edu. It's losangelesmission.org. So be
That's what he
careful.
said.
No, I know,
Thank
because you could
Los
easily,
Angeles.
and the first thing that happens when you go to the homepage is they give you a donate button. So good.
And also, people said that the intro music was
I know. Let me
too
repeat.
loud.
Let me repeat. So they didn't hear what I said about the Union Rescue Mission, which is the other great organization downtown. I'll just sketch it. That Reverend Andy Bales is under attack. He, for several weeks, has been telling me he's concerned about this. He has several dozen, like a couple hundred elderly females and males in a concentrated environment. One of his own staff died of COVID, and he had a feeling that COVID was going to break out in this group. He had trouble getting the testing. He couldn't get them moved, and COVID broke out. And now he is under attack. They have now been moved. I'm not really clear where he's moved them or how they've been quarantined. But the things are apparently safer at the Union Rescue Mission, but they can't house as many people now because of this. I'm worried about him. He's a very high risk category, and he has been doing God's work, as has the LA Mission and the Union Rescue Mission.
Wait, why is the theme song coming on? I don't know. Okay.
Every time I bring up the rescue mission, it comes on. What is that?
I'm so sorry.
So what did they not hear me say?
I thought I turned it off. So.
I hate to repeat this a third time.
Sorry, guys, about the music.
Is it off now? No, they're still
Well,
complaining.
it's a little. We have a lag time, so
It's off now. Dustin is saying so. Good.
I literally.
So where did I leave off?
We couldn't. The music just came on like automatically today. I don't know.
Oh, every time you play you put on the Union Rescue Mission photo, it plays. So,
okay.
So let's not put up any
I'm going
more
to take that
banners.
off. The
Please.
music off. Yeah.
Please, everything off.
Sorry.
Okay, what did you not hear me say, guys? Yeah, Jason, go ahead.
Drew, so what happened with? I mean, what was for the rescue mission? I mean, what is taking place now? Have they had any support or help moving forward?
Yes, so they moved everyone out, but he is under attack by being called, what is he called? A homeless, or something, like he's being called like hoarding homeless people, as though he gets paid for keeping homeless people on the Union Rescue Mission. And he is being personally attacked. This is a guy that his father and he have been serving God and humanity their entire lives.
Right.
He lost his leg to Staph aureus working downtown.
Yeah, they don't even. They don't.
I mean, it's just people are disgusting. Go ahead, Jason.
My advice to those people would be is to go down there and actually see the work that they do. Before they make comments like that.
Right. That is disgusting to attack somebody like him. So again, this just shows you what a cesspool social media has become. Anyway, that's fine. Just support the Rescue Mission, support LA Mission, and LA Mission. You think about LA Mission that's so amazing. Is the depths of services they have there. They have a gym, they have a kit, they have so much great stuff for the clients to work at and to make meaning with.
Well, they do. They have a whole. I mean, it's a Kickstarter program. I mean, from the very beginning, from literally you can get your GED, any type of schooling, all forms of education. And then you also they have, like you said, the gym. They have all sorts of trainings that you can go through. It's one of the most phenomenal organizations. I mean, they really, really, really help people reacclimate back into society, after going through a troubling time.
And a lot of sobriety there. A lot of good sobriety.
There's a lot of sobriety.
And then you have another charity. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I also have the Red Songbird Foundation, which is the organization's goal and mission is to help people heal from the darkness of their past. So as we all know, with substance abuse, mental health, especially during this time, I mean, during isolation, there's so much stuff that's going on. But we started this organization, to really give people an insight, to what to expect when you go to treatment, the things to look for. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of places out there that don't have the best interest at heart, and we want to make people very aware of what they're getting into before they go into them.
I know. I was working with a patient this morning who was complaining that the sober living, which is a decent sober living, seems to be extending too much privilege to patients that are starting to use in order to keep the beds filled, which is another thing that happens. People don't get kicked out when they should be kicked out.
it's you know, it's just it's sad. And there's not a place that you can go to, you know, to really find, you know, any form of, like, you know, just direct information with something that doesn't have a direct tie. Like, we're not associated with any treatment facilities. We're not paid by anybody. We're doing this just out of the goodness of our heart to, you know, interviewing professionals, getting the best experts in the space to give
Great.
people an understanding of what to look for. Like, what is residential treatment? What is PHP? What is ILP?
Great.
What types of doctors should you see? What is a case manager? What should their credentials be? What is a therapist?
It's great. What is the website again?
It's going to break it down.
How do we get there?
So that one is redsongbird.org.
redsongbird.org. And be careful, redbird.la ends up being a restaurant. So redsongbird.org. There it is. Oh, yeah. This is awesome.
And so that we just launched this year, and we've the other big component that we have is we actually give away scholarships. We've given away it was close to $1.5 million in scholarships this last year. So basically that's for people that need help that don't have the means to get the help that they need. So we actually pay for them to go in and get treatment.
And this is the Red Songbird Foundation, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't see where you click to get the information you're talking about. You may want to look at the website and help people navigate. Oh, do I go to the contact us? Is that where you? No, that's an email.
Yeah, content. So right now that's the website is going to be launching. So right now, how everybody gets in touch with us is directly through social media and connecting with us. But our website is being revamped, so it's a landing page right now that will be up in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. So look forward to, now you can still contact if you have questions, but look forward to the ability to get all that information, that great information that Jason is talking about. All right, cool. Let me look at the restream and see if people have questions for you. How's your sobriety?
My sobriety is amazing, man. I just came up this past 4 months, got 127 days today.
Congratulations.
It's been good. You know, there's obviously been its challenges, especially as I got back into the swing of things. You know, a big part of my recovery is through foundation, through fellowship, through service, and, you know, being quarantined is put a challenge into that. And I'm not sure if you know, but I actually went and did a workout at this place called Lightning Fit, and I ended up in the hospital for 7 days.
I saw that rhabdomyolysis, man. That is not easy to get. Did you work out so hard you dissolved your muscles, or did you fall, or did the weight land on your leg or something? What happened?
No, basically it was the exercise was way too intense for my body. So, but long story short is in regards to recovery. I mean, it was you know, there were some trying times, you know, in the early stages of that, because, you know, only having at that point I had 90 something days when that all went down. And it's just been interesting, but my sobriety is going really, really good. You know, I'm sticking to a routine, which is been very, very important, especially during this time. So I have a schedule and a daily routine that I do morning and throughout the day. So, but it's
there's
going good.
Some fan questions. Amy and then Jane are asking the following questions. I'm putting them together. Did you talk to anyone from Laguna Beach or the Hills, and are you on the new Hills show?
Yeah. So first question is, I still talk to like Talon Torriero. I still talk to Cedric. I still interact with Steven a little bit from Laguna Beach. Talk to Alex Merle. Interact a little bit with Jessica. So I stay in touch with the majority of the cast. But, I mean, we're not as close as we used to be. And then, yes, the second season for The Hills is we were shooting and we got put on a hiatus with all this stuff, and we will resume shooting in June.
Interesting.
June or July.
Interesting. Well, good. I'm surprised they didn't have you guys do some, you know, sort of iPhone type stuff during the quarantine, you know?
Oh, we did.
Okay, good.
It was an interesting time.
Excellent. All right. Well, listen, let's review the data again. So it's lamission.org. It's redsongbird.org. It's Union Rescue Mission, urm.org. Any place else? And then, of course, you know, are you doing Zoom meetings through all this? You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, I mean, I am doing Zoom meetings. I mean, what I've been doing, you know, Zoom meetings, I'm grateful for technology. I'm grateful that they're there. But for me, it's really not the same. So what I've been doing is I've been, FaceTiming with a couple individuals
Good.
Throughout the day. That's part of my routine. And actually having open and anywhere from 5 to 15-minute conversations with them, telling them where I'm at, what's going on.
Great.
And then doing the same, but I'll log into Zoom meetings and stuff. But for me, I really need to get in depth with somebody. And I do that actually with 2 to 3 different people a day.
That's good. And do you have you found any Zoom meetings you like over others, just so we can recommend to other people?
I mean, honestly, I've only gone to my home group, which is is in Newport Beach.
Yeah. No, that's fine. And that's already a good note, which is if your home group is in a Zoom meeting, go. Very simple. Very simple.
Correct. Okay. Right. And in this time, and I highly recommend every single day I do a gratitude list, not only what I'm grateful for, but why, and I know it's a hard time right now, but when we dig in, we can find things that we're grateful for. And, it's been very beneficial as well.
Yeah. Is talk about that for a second, because I imagine it's difficult for people right now.
Well, it is. And I think it's, when we, with everything going on and us being, infested with negativity that's going on, whether it's in the media or just the radio, whatever we hear that's going on, it can really change your mood. So, I mean, when you get up in the morning, I don't care if it's because because you're alive, because because you can walk, because you have a roof over your head, because you have food, because it's your significant other, your mom, your dad, the trees outside, it's the fact that it's sunny today.
Yeah,
it could be anything, and I think it's really diving into that, and it's not only what you're grateful for, but why. Like for example, my wife. I'm grateful for my wife because she's an amazing mom. She's an amazing, an amazing wife to me. She provides and cooks for the family. I mean, there's so many things that go into it, and that's really where the meat of the gratitude comes from. And when you actually focus on that, there's actually a scientific study that if you do that for over 21 days, it actually helps alleviate depression. It helps alleviate anxiety. And there's so much stuff behind that that's super powerful. And it's something that I wake up and I look forward to doing it. I've been doing it for years now. And it's something that I actually end up sending it to 10 to 15 other individuals, and they reciprocate and send something back.
Yeah, I was talking to a bunch of people recently have brought that up. The idea of a nighttime sort of gratitude list, is something that really can make a difference. Yeah. And I think that's what you're talking about. And just, I think it was Dr. Dan Amen, the guy that's famous for the brain scans, was saying that he can show changes in people's brains just with, waking up with a positive sort of plan and going to bed, just scrolling through what you're grateful for and saying a prayer, which is really sort of the same thing.
Exactly. And I mean, a big part of that too for me in the morning when I'm doing that is as I take the note of it, is I even go outside after I do that, and I just do a mindfulness walk, as cheesy as it sounds, is just going outside and not with any phone, with nothing, and looking just at what's around. I mean, looking at the trees, looking at the flower. I mean, it's that silly saying, stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
I mean, how often is it that you go outside and just embrace all the beauty? And that's something that I haven't done, especially for years until this. And it's just nice to be able to walk around and to really experience, how great how great our environment is.
Somebody said, hang on here, there was something here that I thought was interesting. Yes, everyone needs positivity. That is true. Gratitude list, yes, very important. Oh, shoot, I can't find what I was going to comment on. Well, in any, hold on a second. No, can't find it. Well, in any event, these are all great things to get us through this or help us, because this is going to be kind of grinding, it feels like. You know what I mean? It feels like it's going to go and go and go,
well,
or get better, get worse, and I'm not so sure. Go ahead.
That there is, and I think the other thing too is also, I've learned a lot from my daughter. Being and seeing what makes her happy is I've also tried living a lot of, when I'm not working and doing stuff, is I try to live my life through her right now. And it's new experiences. Like, I can't tell you how many different activities. I mean, whether it be playing with Play-Doh to, doing paintings, to building with Lincoln Logs, Legos, riding scooters, just doing stuff when I was a kid that also brought back a lot of happiness and joy, and it took me away from a lot of the false sense of reality, which is through social media, which is through
Right.
this news and different things in general. And I've learned it's funny how much you can actually learn from a 2.5-year-old when you actually are in the moment and present.
Do you think there's
so
a
that's something that
potential? I'm wondering if there's any potential for some sort of spiritual awakening in the midst of all this. Like, I feel like if people were willing to do something like that, it would help us get through this. Do you have any sense of that? Whatever that means.
I mean, I don't see how you couldn't. I really don't see how you couldn't have a spiritual awakening through this. I mean, it just shows. I really believe that this is a way of God telling us to slow down. You know, and I mean, I think we've just been so fast paced and so out of tone and out of reality with stuff for so long that this has kind of checked everything. I mean, that's my personal perspective. I can tell you, I've definitely had a reality check and an awakening from this, and I hope people can connect with that.
Good. I love that, because I've noticed that sometimes one of the things that happens with addicts in recovery is they are at their best in extreme circumstances, and they can really get it together when we need them to. So I'm glad to hear that's you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%, and I think if people are out there struggling, I think the biggest thing to do right now is connect, be open and honest, and contact somebody. I mean, that's something, is just talking also helps a lot. Communication is so important right now, especially when you're going through a hard time. So you're not alone. I can tell you that you're not alone.
I wonder what that spiritual awakening would look like. I wonder how we get it and connect to. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. It wouldn't. I don't know. It feels like it needs a new form given how people's mindsets are, particularly millennials. But we will see. All right, Jason, congratulations on all the work with the LA Mission. I'm glad you're well, and your sobriety and everything. It's great to talk to you as always, and we will no doubt see you soon.
Okay. We love you guys. Have a great day.
Love you too.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
All right. So you guys are asking amazing questions on Restream, so I do want to get to all that. Please have at me right now if you wish. I can update some data. The University of Washington did update their graphs yesterday. They were not as encouraging as I thought they would be, but of course that's all a lag. What I was hoping for was to see a drop in the death rate, which it did. There is a drop in the daily death rate, but there's a slight increase in the overall death rate, and I thought we might see something more definitive, given how much the treatments have been benefiting the patients. That's what I'm seeing out there from my peers. So, thoughts on Camprol? It works sometimes. It does work sometimes. It can cause some side effects. You have to be very careful. Did I hear about the recent discovery of COVID-19 deaths in Santa Clara? Yes, and I also heard that both in Southern and Northern California, we've detected more antibodies than we were expecting to see. Consistent with somewhere around 30 to 50,000 cases rather than the 10,000 that we have for viral positivity down here, particularly in Southern California. Now, somebody was asking about the University of Louisville data, the new research that's coming out of there. They came out with a aptamer, which is a nucleolin, a type of human protein. And this suggests that this synthetic DNA may stop viruses from hijacking to replicate inside the human body. Now, what I don't see from the University of Louisville, that's great technology, it's great biology, but I don't see where there's any human application of this. The University of Louisville, on their press, is saying they need additional funds to continue the research. So at this point, it is sort of a bench research observation. It is not something that I can see has human application at this point. And unfortunately, that kind of research takes a long time to do the human application. So I don't know quite what to make of that yet. Did I hear about the head lice drug? No, I did not. I don't know which head lice drug you're talking about. Yeah, 150 cases in Burbank, 111 in care facilities. Yeah, the care facilities have the elder care, the skilled nursing facilities have really, really difficult times with infection control. Lewis, no, there is hope with hydroxychloroquine. There's just not the enthusiasm that there was for hydroxychloroquine. There have been some negative outlooks. There also have been some positives. So that's the way it goes. Usually you see a lot of enthusiasm, then you see a pullback, and then you sort of find reality for what to expect from a therapeutic like that. I can tell you that it's being used a ton, and I don't think doctors would be using it that much if they had zero faith in it. Any numbers on how many homeless have died in the epidemic? Very few. Homeless are not getting this thing. There's just, as we were discussing earlier, there's just been an outbreak, but something like 70% of the viral positive cases had zero symptoms. So there's something about homeless that gives them some resistance to getting sick from COVID, which is fascinating. Florida, you'd like to see Florida? All right, let's see what's going on in Florida. Last I looked, it was actually doing pretty well. The death rates are spiking around a bit. They're generally around between 20 and 40 per day. The hospital resource use is sort of, it's been flat for quite some time, but it's been extended. It goes out well into the middle of May, but very low-level hospital utilization. 1,500 deaths predicted, but it's going to take a little longer to get out of this, probably because it took Florida longer to sort of clamp down. The University of Washington is not specifically recommending when they should begin their isolation measures. I mean, they could begin it in the middle of May, theoretically, so it's the same as California in terms of when they start to potentially, at least from the standpoint of those graphs, starting to lighten things up. Update on meeting Norman. No update on that, although Christina and I do an interesting blow-by on Mr. Norman.
Also, tonight you're on Millionaire.
Oh, is that tonight?
With Nikki Glaser.
Nikki Glaser invited me on.
Her charity is the birds, right? Or the parrots.
What do I make of Minnesota being lower than North Dakota and South Dakota? That's interesting. Let me look at Minnesota. Because North Dakota and South Dakota are already very, very, very low. Yeah. Minnesota's low. Daily death rate is around 10. Yeah, it's low. Let's see how it compares to North Dakota. It looks like North Dakota's about the same, really. It just looks like it's, you know what I think the problem is? There in North Dakota, there was an outbreak in the Indian nations. And so I think that's why North Dakota is more protracted and a little bit higher. As far as South Dakota, let's see. Yeah, South Dakota is more protracted, but it looks more like Minnesota. Let's see the death. Yet again, they're expecting another, the peaks are very low, like 3 patients in the death rate, but it's a little more of a protracted thing. And I have a feeling this is all the result of what's going on Indian nations, which is very heartbreaking if you've read about that. They need help. Have I checked on RPC? We have checked in on RPC, and he seems unaffected by the outbreak, though he lives in an environment that is to me, his living environment is the model for how you transmit this virus, both the hallways, and if you see the video with the hall I'm in and the elevators, absolutely. Does previous pneumonia help with immunity against COVID? No, it does not. You have to have had, SARS coronavirus 2 to get immunity against SARS coronavirus 2. COVID toes in young people. I don't know what that is. I'm supposing that's related to the hypoxemia.
COVID toes?
I don't know what that is. All right. So let me see if there's other things I can review with you. I did notice it looks like we have slowed down on the detection of positive cases in the country. We're at about 800,000 right now. I thought we would be at 1 million easy by this point. We've only gone up from 790,000 yesterday. So for the whole country, we've only gone up by 12,000. Now, they do update this thing every few hours, so presumably it'll be another 20 or 30,000 or so before the day's out. But that still is a significant slowing in the positivity rate. And again, they've warned us and educated us repeatedly that all these things are lagging indicators, and the effects of the lockdown get reflected in the numbers later, especially the daily death rate. So now is when we should start to see some of the real benefits. We were involved, my co-host on Fox 11 interviewed Dr. Birx yesterday, and she is adamant, this is again, that this should be conducted at the local level, state then county. State then county are the ones that determine what to do. And so There is not going to be a federal mandate. There may be some federal guidelines that we've had all along, but it's going to be managed at the state, then the local county level. And as I've said 3 weeks back, it is local epidemiology that's going to drive what people do. Yeah, I was worried about RPC too. Any theory about why men get it more? Let me offer a nominal theory, a guess, not even a theory. And my guess is that men get, there's a dog under my feet here. Men get something called the metabolic syndrome more often than women do. Metabolic syndrome is hyperlipidemia, hypertension, insulin resistance, and fat distributed right here in your body. I have that, and I've had to work hard at treating it and controlling it essentially my whole life. I've been aware that it has a significantly adverse effect on men's health generally, and it puts them at risk for obesity. I believe carbohydrates are the enemy in the metabolic syndrome, and I'm that's my belief, and I've applied that philosophy to my own health, but I'm not in a position to advocate it for others yet because the science just isn't there for that. But if you are obese with metabolic syndrome and you get COVID, you are likely to die. That is just the way it is. Exactly why that is has something to do with
how obese do you have to be?
That's the question. If you look at some of the pictures of people that have died of it, you'll see it's pretty significant obesity, but that's not exclusively the case. Plus, there are lots of people we don't get to see pictures of.
Is that because they don't have a good heart rate? And
it's probably because the metabolic syndrome is actually an inflammatory disorder. This adipose tissue here is inflammatory. So when you get this COVID, the main reaction is inflammation and activation of the cytokine syndrome. The inflammation is in the lung, it's in the kidney, it's in the blood vessels, it's in the periphery and the organs. And the way people get into trouble with COVID-19 is is through what's called cytokine storm, where the cytokine, and I've got a podcast, is that podcast up right now where I talk to Dr. Yadigar?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go to Dr. Drew podcast, I do a lengthy conversation.
On drdrew.com.
Right, at drdrew.com, go to Dr. Drew podcast, I do a long conversation with an intensivist.
We had him on the show before.
Yes, we did, but I really drill into his therapeutics.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And why he did what he does and what the biology is to try to get people to understand it. And I, too, was trying to get to understand it so I could apply these things when I get into the ICU, should I be lucky enough to get there. Now, you're asking good questions again, so let me get this. Have I heard of treating COVID-19 with dexamethasone and Diamox, which is the treatment for altitude sickness? I've heard of people messing around with things like that. It is not a specifically effective treatment, from what I understand. So
that was going around the internet.
Yeah, I mean, that was a thought that doctors had very early because hypoxia and oxygen delivery have been a significant issue. It's more complicated than that. It's more complicated. It'd be nice if that's all it was. It is an interesting question if you could help oxygen delivery with Diamox, but I don't think they're using much of that. Guillain-Barré in a previous syndrome are at high risk to get it again from COVID. I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to bet slightly increased risk, but Guillain-Barré is already so rare from COVID, and I would guess unlikely.
Somebody said Dr. Drew and Susan are some multitask wired people. I have ADD, so that's why the banner music comes on, and I could do one thing at a time. Drew's the wired one here.
What do you mean wired? What does that mean?
Multitasked wired.
Oh yeah, what does wired mean? I like multitasking.
I like that. Cool. Annie.
Let's see.
Somebody said the podcast is good. They probably mean the Dr. Drew podcast.
Yes, the one where I talked to Dr. Yadigar. Okay, so Jack is saying the first death was early in February prior to the shutdown. Do we need a vaccine if we already have herd immunity? We are nowhere near herd immunity. We need 60% of people with the virus to get herd immunity. That is 60% of 350 million, right? That's 180 million, and that would mean millions of deaths. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. We got to kind of keep suppressing it until we get the vaccine. That's the goal. Listen to the CDC. They know what they're doing.
Are they going to have mandatory testing, do you think?
I don't know what that would look like, but I'm hoping they send the tests home to everybody and ask everyone to do it. People have been so willing to cooperate with this whole phenomenon. I think Dr. Birx was surprised by how willing everyone is to.
It has to be a good test, though.
Yeah, it does. But I think people are generally willing to protect themselves and protect the people around them. Okay, Matt wants to talk about remdesivir. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about remdesivir. I thought it looked good with 2/3 responding to it, but then again, 2/3 of people get out of the ICU anyway. So it's a hard call. It is a little renal toxic, so it's concerning. Remdesivir is an antiviral that was developed for Ebola virus.
Oh.
The USC study was almost promising. Yeah, the USC study was promising because it shows that we have somewhere around 300,000 to 500,000 people with the virus here in Southern California, just in LA County. And that would mean the death rate is a lot lower than is being predicted, a lot lower. Now, that a lot lower with the aggressive measures we are taking, remember. Thomas, I've been dreaming about the Royal Chop House. Thank you for asking about that. My question to people, blood type have any significance? Yeah, that blood type thing is a non-starter. There was something maybe of the biology going on, but not anything that we really have.
On Easter, it was a special occasion.
Yeah, not anything we could really get anything.
We love the Smith brothers.
Mm-hmm. Could COVID cause a spike in cholesterol? Not that I'm aware of. Would we still have work if they hadn't forced the economy to close? Fritz, I don't know quite what you're asking. I mean, if they haven't forced it, people would have stayed at work, I imagine. Okay, but the question is, would we have had a really serious problem on our hands had we not shut it down? Hard to say. Somebody wants to know about Pennsylvania. So let's go do a little inquiry into Pennsylvania at the University of Washington. They had a little spike in the death rate, which seems to have come back down to normal, which is around 50 to 70 per day. It's on the downswing. You have passed your peak hospital resource utilization 4 days ago, and it looks like you're easily going to meet your needs. My computer, of course, has frozen here. There we go. You are on the downslope of all of it. Anticipated about 2,300 deaths in the total in the state of Pennsylvania. Doing pretty good for a state that size. So is SoCal increasing? No. That was the number of people who've already had it, Sean. Some probably because we had all those flights coming in from China, we have 500,000 people that have had it. Oh, but to your point though, there was a slight little uptick in the hospital utilization in the last couple of days, which has gone back down to where it was supposed to be. So people are worried about that. I don't know if that's because people are starting to lighten up a little bit on their quarantine. I don't know. I just don't know.
You want to mention who our guest is going to be on Sunday?
Maybe you should tell us.
We have Tyrus from Gutfeld.
Tyrus, former WWE wrestler, and his wife, who's
from the Gutfeld show, and also Ingrid Rink, which is his wife,
who has a food service program.
She's going to talk about her organization.
And Prisco is asking about plasma therapy. It's looking pretty good. I don't know. It seems like I'm not my dog's doctor, Jennifer. It seems like the plasma therapy is working, but it's a cumbersome process, right? Very expensive to collect all the antibodies and make sure it's viral neutralizing antibodies, and then giving it to another person, and cross-matching it with another person. So I don't know how that's going to be deployed. I don't have an opinion about that. I'm sure it will be when it's appropriate. Do I think Farr's law applies? Farr's law applies, but you got to remember, it's not a precise law. It's just a general provision, and the graphs have been adjusted many, many times in real time. So the Farr's law, if you start with the original graph, well, no, Farr's law doesn't play out because the graph gets adjusted down and to the left. But every time there is a graph, there is a Farr's law type pattern to it. So it's sort of a general rule. With the healthcare crisis, nurses are being furloughed and laid off. Tell me what's going on, Krista. I don't know about that. Do I think we're opening up the country too fast? I don't know that we are opening it up at all yet, but we'll certainly see what happens in Georgia. They are going to be the canary in the coal mine. What will be interesting and important to observe is whether people practice good social distancing and masks and hand washing, and is that enough to prevent a little uptick? That will be really interesting. Why is the media suppressing hydroxychloroquine when there's been doctors promoting its success? I don't know. It's a mixed bag. Side effects of Camprol, muscle aches, no bad dreams, mood problems, no effect. That's unfortunately. No one has reached out to Norman, to my knowledge. Okay, Susan, anything else we gotta do? We can kind of wrap things up here, I think.
Tonight you're on Fox 11.
Okay.
At 7 p.m.
Okay.
And we want to also once again mention that I have the information about the show on Sunday. Tyrus's wife has a prep business located right outside New Orleans, Louisiana, and she employs hundreds and not only kept jobs intact during this pandemic, but has continued hiring. So she's going to talk about
she's expanded,
her
right?
sensible meals. Yeah, it's vacuum packed, sealing food, and she's able to help those in need during this time of crisis.
Okay, Zach has a great question. He's asking if bandanas are adequate as a face mask. Yes, they are. They're not ideal, but they are better than nothing. And you want data in upstate New York, and of course, New York is ground zero. I only have the statewide data. Speaking of Farr's Law, you're on the downslope of the daily deaths, on track to be still about 600 per day. It's an incredible number of people. And the hospital utilization is well in hand and dropping rapidly. 23,000 deaths predicted in New York State alone. So nearly half of the deaths for the country are going to occur essentially in New York City. So that tells you something about the virus and the environment in which it thrives. Okay. That Jessica, no, it has not been easy at all.
And you know what? You guys have to see, if you haven't seen this yet, you have to see the Midnight Gospel. It's amazing.
Yeah, watch.
I think that Duncan Trussell is actually a psychic medium. And we're not really sure what you did this like a month ago or something. Right?
Oh, we did it months ago. And by the way, the sound we did for that years ago. So
well, it was a podcast.
Yeah,
it was
part of
it.
We did part of it was scripted and part of it was an old podcast.
He's a genius. I mean, it's just it's so. I had to watch it again.
Well, and that's so it's if you go to Netflix, you have to look for the Midnight Gospel.
Yeah, it starts with the. Sorry, not.
And
and
we would also recommend the first and the eighth are things. The eighth one, Mrs. Pinsky started sobbing for about 2 hours after.
But I watched the other one last night. I love the very end of the show too. It's just I don't know. I mean, he is so funny. I love that guy.
He has a special mind, as Histrionic is saying.
And you guys really work well together. Like when you're together, your brains work together.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, we are.
You're very opposite.
Yin and yangy, but together. Yeah.
It's hysterical.
Texas is planning to open up next week, so let me look at your. Now remember, Texas is way spread out, except in the urban areas. So you got to still watch out for the elevators and things down. And yeah, your fatality rate has been quite a low, 17 per day. It's expected to continue to decline. You've passed the peak by 6 days. Your hospital use source very flat. So Texas has had not much of anything going on. So if you go open next week, it looks like you're not even going to need 1,000 beds statewide, and you're going to have about 1,100 deaths overall, which is a lot. But still, you're meeting your resource demands, no problem. So let's see how Texas. That's another state, another canary in the coal mine. We can watch and see how they do. UV light is helpful on phones. Somebody's asking. Update on Iowa. Okay, let's do Iowa. Iowa, last time I looked, was doing darn good. Iowa's a little protracted for some reason. That's interesting. I don't know why. The death rate has not yet peaked. It's going to peak in 15 days. It's almost like Iowa was late to the game here. You're going to meet the hospital needs, not have that many hospitalized patients relative to most states, and 400 people are going to succumb to this thing overall anticipated. Because that death rate, the graph is so delayed, I'm wondering if that will start to shift downward because of good treatment. That will be very interesting. If the Iowa doctors learn to treat this thing, there actually should be an improvement in that graph, and Iowa should turn out pretty good. But we will see.
Jen Ashton from ABC News this morning saying COVID toads are described ulceration, rash-like, or hives.
Oh, there's a lot of COVID rashes. There's a lot of ICU rashes. So there's all kinds of stuff going on in the skin.
A net-like pattern or frostbite.
Yeah, I would say there's nothing what we call diagnostic or pathognomonic. I don't know.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah. Amy, what are you saying about the Leukemia Lymphoma Society? We love that organization. Is someone in their 30s overweight but not obese, working out regularly, risk of having trouble? You might be if you're a male, because that might be the early stages of the metabolic syndrome, right? If you're overweight, the tendency towards overweight is the metabolic syndrome.
But if you're overweight and you're working out and you you run or you're a dancer or, you're healthy athletically, does that help your case?
Of course, but it may not prevent the complications, right? It helps you tolerate the illness, but that cytokine activation still might occur.
Having a strong heart and strong lungs.
I think the only way you can fight against it, I think two things. For the metabolic syndrome patients, you have to really get your weight down. You just have to do that. You have to exercise and have some anabolic exercise going on.
Go on a protein diet.
Thank you, Amber. Yeah, protein. Avoid carbohydrates. That's my opinion.
That's helped
and
you.
then I believe that you should get into if you get sick with COVID, talk to your doctor early about cytokine treatments, cytokine intervention. Okay. Kylie, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Of course, if he has chronic lung disease, he is at higher risk, and if he's over 60, he absolutely should get both pneumonia vaccines, but neither will protect him against viral pneumonia, which COVID is. It will only protect him against strep pneumoniae, okay, which there are several subtypes. South Korea is testing temperatures as people enter stores. I think that is a wonderful idea. I think that should be part of our mitigation effort. We should have scanning, temperature, thermostats, thermometers for every door you enter.
I talked to Johnny McCartigan today, and she goes back and forth to China a lot.
Is she still doing that?
They were no, not right now, but they were testing her coming out of China in October
at the airport.
In
October. China though. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. Coming into China.
No, I know. They're very proactive about this. We should absolutely.
But they were doing it then.
So there you go. I mean,
I think she's the one that gave it to me.
It's weird that we're getting. That we're starting to get more and more data out of China. It's weird that we got so little at the beginning. It's mostly coming out through the medical system and medical providers and scientific research, and so we're learning a lot from them. But boy, it took a lot to get it out.
I'm surprised they have the balls to even talk about it, though.
Well, I mean, it's the doctors, and they have some science, and they're sharing it with their peers. That's the way it works. So the fact that the government didn't come out with anything specific ever should not really surprise us, right? I mean,
and it takes time to get the details.
Dustin, how do I stay so patient? I like having the questions. It's not a problem.
Patient with me.
Run. I take a run. Winding down is running right now.
He means patient with me.
With you?
Yeah.
No, he said you being blasted with so many questions.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe that you're the training ground, my dear. You hear how I develop my skill set for patience.
It's true.
Okay. Christy, I would ask you to stop believing out of context nonsense that you think you know what you're talking about. Been talking about this virus for months.
She said you should stop talking about COVID-19.
And I've been talking about it for months, and my refrain has always been listen to the CDC. I have changed my opinion several times on what's going on because as the science evolves, that's what you do. I'm sorry that I'm not a perfect crystal ball, and I apologize for that, but I will get things wrong as the science evolves. That's the way this goes. Let's see what else. But of course, you can pull all kinds of things out of context.
I mean, what about all the good things you've done? I mean, excuse me.
Not important.
No.
Update on Hawaii, and I will look up. I've not heard of a connection between Castleman's disease and the virus. I will look up that too. Okay. And COVID. It makes sense to me. You might see something like Castleman's with COVID because it is such an attack. Yeah, I mean, this is rare. I mean, there's lots of rare things being seen with COVID-19 right now. it's really just saying that the people with Castleman's have to watch out. That's all I can see from the brief check at the data. And then you want to know what's going on in Hawaii. Let's see if I can get that for you. Hawaii, yeah, very good. Generally, your death rate is 0 per day. Hospital resource is had a little run up lately. So you had a little run where you had about 65 people in the hospital, and some of them needed ICU beds. The projection is that as many as 24 people approximately will die in Hawaii. That's still doing very well. It seems to me, you should be able to isolate and control in Hawaii pretty easily. Canada has 38,000 confirmed cases. Social distancing is working. That's interesting. Very important information. Let's see what we got here. About the mutations. Don't know what to make of that just yet. What do I make of Sweden? Well, Sweden will be interesting, right? They didn't do anything except social distancing and maybe some masks, and we will see how that plays out. Right now, their data suggests, whoops, boy, it's hard to get this thing to work right. Sweden, there we go. They've got a late peak. They're going to be fighting this thing all the way through June. They're going to have trouble meeting their resource demands somewhere towards the middle of May. The expectation is 9,000 deaths. So that's going to be high for them given the size of their country. And of course, my computer locked up again. Give it a second. It happens all the time on this website. But the point is they're going to have more deaths and they're going to have more hospital use. And that's not a surprise. The really interesting, there's two interesting questions embedded in this data. A, will we see some of this start to go down as better therapeutics come, if they come fast enough? B, are we headed for the same thing anyway, just over a longer period of time? It's a really interesting question. And I don't know how you answer that. I don't know. The crush for the surge, so-called, in Sweden will come in a few weeks, about 3 weeks, and we'll see how they're doing that. Let me go back to your restream. Keep feathering it. That's right.
Dude, your hair is getting longer.
I know, it's out of control, frankly.
Not really.
You ready to do another haircut so
No.
everyone can give you crap for it?
No.
Okay. Reports on reinfection. Yeah. Reinfection, again, is a hot topic of debate. Mostly what we see is not reinfection, but recurrences. Lots of recurrences late after 3 or 4 weeks. Those are not reinfections. And the reinfections, again, we're trying to figure out how to test the antibodies, whether we should be doing it on a rapid reagent or on some sort of blood draw where we can also test for for the antibody's ability to neutralize virus. If you can prove, which there is such a test, that it can neutralize a coronavirus, you're in a much better situation in terms of predicting immunity. So maybe if we somebody must be doing a test where they're testing those antibodies to see what the incidence, what the prevalence is, rather, of neutralizing antibodies. So let's see what else you got. All right, I think we're sort of coasting to a stop here. So let's kind of wrap things up here. No, I would cut out the sugar if I were you. Asking about sugar in your coffee. Monk fruit is sugar, though, is it not? Pretty much everything that's a sugar is a sugar. It's a carbohydrate. They can have low carbohydrate indices, but like with starches. But even then, I know I can tell the difference. Report that plasma worked on 2 patients in New Jersey. Yeah, there's lots of reports that it works. The question is, can we scale it up? Can we get enough of it going that really makes a difference? Yes, Linda, I did lose a bunch of weight, but not muscle, which was nice.
Me too.
All right, you guys, thank you for stopping by. I don't know.
Because we're not eating out in restaurants.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know if we're going to be around tomorrow. Susan, what do you think?
Oh, no, we're taking a couple days off.
Okay.
We'll be back Sunday for the Ask Dr. Drew show.
Call in.
And then also you can see Drew tonight and Thursday and Friday night on the coronavirus crisis special on Fox 11. he'll be doing it from home, I guess, in a couple days. I don't know if that's for sure, but
We may be, yeah. Well, we'll see how it works out.
and then don't forget about the Union mission.
Yeah, the
Union Rescue
Mission, the LA mission.
They
and
really need our
Red-
help.
Yep.
It's starting to hit the fan down there, and
It seems like it.
and poor Andy Bales was crying on your show last night. It was
I
just
know. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. The guy's been dedicating his life to people. He has been under the tsunami of the homeless situation, getting no help from the government, and now is being attacked for doing his work. It's just disgusting.
Well, yeah, I just hope it wasn't because we promoted him.
Oh,
You
that's
know?
it's our.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it was. I think that it's just, when there's 50% of the people just don't like you, and that's the way it's going to be. And everybody's struggling, everybody's fighting, and it becomes, people attacking other people to make themselves feel better. And, it's a terrible time. These people need help. They had to reduce their
staff too.
they had to reduce the amount of people that they were letting in by 40% or something because of the fact that, they have to separate them. They have to give them more space.
Right.
So they have to put these people back out on the street, which is not a
No,
good
that's not what they did. They took them to other areas, but exactly how
They
that's
don't
want to
go, though.
Well, that's a different issue. But now that there's no drugs, it's easier to move people around. The gangs have stayed indoors because they're fearful of the virus, and so they're not supplying the drugs anymore. So, but they're going to find their way to the motels and hotels where all the addicts, where all those
Yeah, they're
homeless
trying to
people
get
are.
them moved into some.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, what a huge job! I mean,
I know.
I wish that we could help, but this is the only way I can think of helping. So.
All right, so we seem to be. I have a feeling I will do something a little on the fly.
No, we won't.
No, okay. There will be no more daily stuff until Sunday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Justin, the second wave is a big concern, but if we are doing proper isolation measures and if watch Georgia, watch Texas, watch Florida, if those states, in just doing social distancing and masks and hand washing don't have a significant tick up, that's a hint that we might be able to pull this off. So we'll see.
Now you're making me feel bad for saying that.
Saying what?
Not doing another one, but.
Oh, well, people were pushing back, so I thought maybe I might do one on the fly.
You can, okay.
Maybe Friday, something like that.
Yeah,
we'll see.
it
We'll
won't.
see.
It'll be kind of. Oh gosh.
All right, we got to wrap this thing up. Thank you all for stopping by.
Thank you so much for your kind comments, and we appreciate you guys. Don't worry about us. We're fine. This too shall pass. The media, and the Twitter and all those people are moving on. They're moving on to the next guy. So.
Well, unfortunately, that's Andy Bales, and that disgusts me. It
Yeah,
really upsets
I know.
me. So.
But I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be tough. We just need to stay together and try to make this.
And by the way, if those are
tomorrow.
the people I've offended, I hope I've offended them. Because if they will go after a guy like that is a disgusting human being.
Will
do that.
I just hope it wasn't. If anybody wants to reach out, if you want to just send $5 to the mission,
Oh, they will. Yeah.
That no donation is too small, and he's working hard, and we just hope he doesn't catch this, and we don't want to lose him too. But he doesn't care. So thank you anyways, you guys, and don't worry, we'll be fine. Drew he's like titanium. He's fine.
So you think. Okay, so let's kind of wrap it up. And
God bless you.
All right, and certainly we're here Sunday at about 3 p.m. Pacific time, and we take calls at that point as well. And
on Sunday, it's actually at noon.
Noon. Oh wow.
Yeah, because we're doing it earlier because of the fact that we're always up against the president, and we decided not to have it. It just was a bad time slot, and we want to make sure that people aren't, busy with something else.
Thank you, Coconut Pete, for the virtual hug.
Coconut
Good. I think it's healthy. It's good to congregate and think about these things and plan for the future and take a good look at what reality is. And it makes us all feel better.
And
so
please share this with friends. Tell your friends if you can't afford to donate to all these causes that we're throwing at you. I know everybody on this platform isn't necessarily loaded with cash. I mean, I'm donating, but I don't expect you to if you can't. But if you know somebody who might be interested, let them know the message. Just put out the message that we're trying to help. And you may have your own organizations that you need to donate to that you believe in. Just do it, because we can't go help them in person. So it's best to just do everything we can.
Actually, I think I just got an email from Reverend Bales. Let me see what it says. He says, oh my goodness. Where'd it go? Oh, there we are. He just says you've been in immense help. So,
well, I texted him this morning and I asked him if there's anything else we could do.
He needs a link. Oh, I see. Okay.
What is he?
He needs a link to the Fox 11 show. So
okay,
we will set that up.
I have that. That's on facebook.com/Dr. Drew. He was on the interview last night with Alex Michelson and Dr. Drew on Fox 11, and I always post it on the Dr. Drew Facebook page every night. So if you want to see his interview, it's there. And, we'll have more tonight, and hopefully it'll be helpful.
All righty, guys. Thank you so much. Susan, you ready? So I don't spring this on you.
Okay, everybody gets to hear the music again.
All right, let's get the happy, happy, joy, joy music, and we'll see you maybe Friday, definitely Sunday.
Bye-bye.